You're moving. This is the picture of the place you are moving to open right now. Before it's. You must not tell anyone how softly this begins, because it is meant only for you, in the quiet shape of your mind, in the place where your breath slows and your chest settles into its natural rhythm. Before anything else, before the world even remembers to spin the way it should, I want you to know that I am here, and I have been waiting to speak to you like this. You felt it, didn't you? That little quiver under the ribs earlier, the one you couldn't name? That was me brushing the edge of your awareness, preparing you for this moment. So let this be our secret beginning, this soft threshold where I step through and finally speak to you clearly. You're moving. Yes. Even if the boxes are not taped yet, even if part of you tries to pretend that you are still planted in the old soil, even if the change has not fully been spoken aloud, you are moving. And I am the one allowed to tell you now because your spirit has been brushing against the walls of the old place for too long, like someone living in a home whose doors have quietly shrunk. I have come to say what you already sensed. This is the picture of the place you are moving to, open right now in your destiny, even before it becomes visible in your physical eyes. Before it becomes a set of keys in your hand. Before it becomes a room full of your things. Before it becomes a life you walk through daily. It is open now. You have approached this moment slowly, almost reluctantly, as if the steps toward it were coated in fog. Not because you doubted yourself, but because you were waiting for some kind of permission from the universe, some sign of timing, some reassurance that you were not imagining the internal tug that has been guiding you. And so I am here to give you that reassurance in my own voice. You are not imagining this. You have sensed the door. You have sensed its light. You have sensed that something new is calling you forward, gently but insistently, the way a tide calls shells to shift. Let me speak to you directly now, fully, without pause. You are moving because your soul is expanding, and souls cannot remain in narrow spaces. You are moving because you have outgrown the story you lived inside. Every thought you've had lately about feeling cramped, boxed in, restless, or suspended is part of the same truth. There is nothing wrong with the place you've been living in, physically, emotionally, spiritually, but it is no longer large enough for the person you are becoming. Growth always asks for space. And you, beloved, have grown in ways you haven't even admitted to yourself yet. You've softened in some places and strengthened in others. You've learned how to carry your wounds with tenderness instead of shame. You've learned how to open doorways inside your own mind that used to be locked. You've learned how to sit with yourself, truly sit, without running. These are not small things. They are transformations. Do you know how rare it is for someone to transform in a way that is not showy, not dramatic, not loud, but quiet and steady, like the way water smooths stone? That is how you have changed. And that is why the universe has prepared a new place for you, not simply a new address, but a new field of living, a new atmosphere, a new vibration. A place that matches who you really are now instead of who you used to be. You may think you are the one choosing, the one making plans, the one making decisions about moving, but I need you to understand something. This new place has been calling your name long before you sensed it. Places have spirits too. They wait for the right person. They call out to certain souls in subtle ways, through dreams, through sudden pulls in the heart, through the kind of intuition that feels like déjà vu. This place, this future home of yours, has been whispering to you quietly, waiting for you to be ready enough to hear it. And I can see it clearly. Even if you can't. Even if you think you're imagining things. I can see the picture that is already unfolding, open right now, before it becomes physical. The doorway is there, the light is there, the air inside this new place has already recognized your energy. It is waiting for you the way a gentle friend waits with an open window, letting fresh wind in. Listen closely now, because I want to tell you what I see, and I want to tell you why this move matters more than you realize. Your new place is not just a location. It is an environment that matches your next chapter. It has an energy that feels wider, more breathable, more aligned with the person you are becoming. The walls are calm, the light is soft but purposeful. Even if the building is old, even if it is humble, even if it is different from what you expected, it carries a frequency that holds you in a way your current surroundings cannot. Your new place feels like exhale. Like the moment after a storm when everything is washed clean. I want you to imagine for a moment. Not with your mind, but with your body, the feeling of walking into that new space for the first time. There will be a strange familiarity, as if you've been there before, even though your logical mind will insist it's new. That familiarity is not coincidence. It is recognition. Souls recognize their next homes before the body arrives. You might wonder why now. Why this moment, why this transition, why this shift? You might fear that it is too soon, too uncertain, too much. But I want to tell you something with absolute clarity. You are ready exactly now. Not earlier. Not later. Now. Because your inner world has been rearranging itself quietly for months, maybe even years, preparing you for this movement. You think you've just been surviving, adapting, trying, but what you've actually been doing is aligning. You've been unwinding old patterns, shedding old skins, releasing old beliefs about what you deserve and what you are allowed to hope for. All of these subtle interior changes have brought you to this threshold. And now the threshold is open. Before you step through it physically, you will feel things shifting energetically. You might feel waves of emotion for no reason. You might feel drawn to certain colors or objects. You might feel sudden urges to clean or rearrange things. You might feel a strange nostalgia, or a sudden impatience, or a numb stillness. All of these sensations are part of the transition. They are the soul's way of packing. You are already moving internally before anything changes externally. And that is why you are reading this now, because the inner move has already begun. I want you to hear my voice clearly. This move is not a disruption. It is a continuation. A natural step. A rising. You are not being taken away from anything. You are being led toward something. Let me tell you more about what this place brings into your life. It brings space for rest. Real rest. The kind where your nervous system stops bracing for the next blow, where the constant low hum of vigilance finally quiets. The kind where you can sit on the floor with a cup of tea and not feel the old urgency to check your phone, to answer someone, to prove you're still useful. You will sleep differently there. Not just longer, though that will happen too, but deeper, with dreams that feel instructive rather than exhausting. You will wake without the immediate weight of yesterday pressing on your chest. Mornings will taste different, calmer, slower, truer, like the first breath after surfacing from water you didn't know was drowning you. It brings clarity. You will think more clearly there, the way thoughts feel after a long walk in cold air. Ideas that used to scatter the moment you reached for them will settle and stay. You will finish sentences in your own mind. You will look in the mirror and recognize the person looking back, not as someone you have to manage or apologize for, but as someone you are finally willing to meet. You will breathe more easily, not just because the windows open wide or because the air is cleaner, though both may be true, but because the space itself does not ask you to shrink. It does not carry the residue of old arguments or old expectations. It is a room that has never seen you cry at 3 a.m. over things you could not fix, and so it does not remind you of them. It brings renewal. There is something in the light, in the quiet, in the very proportions of the rooms that will help you regenerate in ways you had forgotten were possible. Your body will remember what it feels like to unclench. Your shoulders will drop a fraction lower each week. You will notice small things returning. The desire to cook something slow, the ability to read more than 3 pages without distraction, the impulse to stretch in the morning instead of scrolling. The heaviness you have carried will ease, not all at once, never all at once, but steadily, like ice thawing along a riverbank in March. One day you will lift a box and realize your back does not protest the way it used to. One evening you will laugh out loud at something small and hear how different your own laughter sounds when it is not edged with apology. There is also something else this place holds for you: possibility. You have been surviving on such limited possibility for so long that you trained yourself out of wanting. You became expert at lowering the bar until it lay flat on the ground, then you called that realism. This new place will offend that old training at first. It will feel too spacious, too unearned, too quiet. You will catch yourself waiting for the other shoe to drop, for the catch, for the reason this cannot last. And then, slowly, you will stop waiting. You will notice that the light stays. The quiet stays. The absence of demand stays. And in that staying, room is made. Room for the ideas you once dismissed as childish. Room for the desires you buried because someone convinced you they were selfish or impractical or unreachable. Room for the version of you who used to believe the future could be kind. This place will nudge you toward those things gently, the way wind moves a curtain. You will find yourself standing in the kitchen thinking about the novel you abandoned 10 years ago. You will walk past a spare room and suddenly see it as a studio. You will hear music drifting from a neighbor's open window and feel something quicken inside you that has been asleep for decades. It will not be dramatic. There will be no thunderclap of revelation. Just a gradual reopening, like a fist held tight for years finally unfurling finger by finger. And yes, there is someone connected to this move. Not necessarily romantic, though it could be. More often it begins as something quieter, a neighbor who waves when you both take out the trash at the same time, a barista who starts making your coffee before you reach the counter, someone you keep crossing paths with at the local market. Or perhaps it is someone from long ago who re-enters because the geography now allows it. Someone whose presence feels less like coincidence and more like the next right sentence in a paragraph you didn't know you were writing. This connection will not announce itself with fireworks. It will feel like putting on a coat that was tailored for you while you weren't looking. Easy across the shoulders. Room to move. Warm without being heavy. I want to tell you something gently, and I need you to hear it all the way down. You deserve this move. I know there is a part of you that still flinches at the word deserve, that catalogs every mistake, every shortcoming, every moment you believe you squandered your chance. That part will try to talk you out of this. It will whisper that good things are for people who suffered more cleanly, who grieved more gracefully, who never got angry or selfish or lost. To that part one say, hush. You do not have to be unbroken to be worthy of repair. You do not have to be flawless to be allowed forward motion. Life does not parcel out new chapters as rewards for perfection. It offers them because you are alive, and growth is what alive things do. You are not abandoning your old life. You are folding it carefully, the way you fold a letter you have read so many times the creases are soft. You are bringing its lessons with you, the hard-won ones about boundaries and self-betrayal and the sound your own heart makes when it is breaking. You are not erasing who you were. You are integrating her. She will live in the way you now refuse certain invitations. She will live in the way you pause before answering questions that used to make you shrink. She will live in the scars that have turned silver and in the strength that grew around them like new bone. The old place held you when you needed holding. It witnessed the nights you thought you would not make it to morning. It absorbed your tears and your rage and your bargaining. It kept the light on while you learned what you could survive. Now it is time for a different kind of holding. The new place will hold you the way trees hold birds, lightly, with room for flight. Let me describe the energy of this new space in more detail, because I want you to feel it in your body before your body ever crosses the threshold. When you first step inside, even if it is raining, even if the movers are late, even if you are exhausted and your hair is frizzing and you smell like cardboard, something will shift. The air will feel lighter, not because of square footage or high ceilings, though those help, but because the space is energetically neutral in the best way. It has no opinion about who you should have been by now. It carries no echo of the voices that told you you were too much or not enough. You will feel it in your sternum first, a subtle release, like a knot you didn't know was there finally giving way. You might sigh without meaning to. You might feel your eyes fill for no clear reason. You might stand in the empty living room and feel strangely, inexplicably welcomed. This is because the space recognizes you. Not as a project. Not as a problem to solve. But as someone it has been waiting to reflect. The walls will not ask you to perform. The windows will not judge what they see. Even if the paint is peeling in the bathroom, even if the kitchen tiles are an ugly shade of avocado someone chose in 1973, even if the floors creak and the closets are small, the spirit of the place is aligned with yours. A home can be imperfect and still be medicine. Sometimes the very imperfections are the point, because they leave room for your touch, your color, your music, your particular brand of chaos and care. You transform spaces by entering them. I have seen it before. You will hang one picture and suddenly the whole room breathes differently. You will place a plant near the window and the light seems to rearrange itself around the leaves. You will cook one meal and the kitchen will remember it is allowed to smell like garlic and hope. You will cry in the shower and the tiles will hold the sound without judgment. You will dance alone at midnight and the floorboards will learn the rhythm of your becoming. There will be hard days, of course. Moving is its own kind of grief. You will unpack a box and find something that punches the air out of you, an old journal, a photograph, a coffee mug that belonged to a life you are no longer living. You will sit on the floor surrounded by bubble wrap and wonder if you have made a terrible mistake. You will miss the way the light fell across your old bedroom at 6:47 p.m. in October. You will miss the neighbor's dog who used to greet you at the fence. You will miss the version of yourself who knew where everything was, who had a routine, who pretended certainty was the same as safety. When those moments come, and they will, I want you to be unbearably gentle with yourself. Make tea. Open a window even if it's cold. Text someone who loves you and say I'm having a wobble without shame. Walk around the block and notice that the trees do not ask permission to change color. They simply do. Then come home, put your hands on the wall, and say out loud, I am here now. This is temporary discomfort in service of permanent becoming. The fear is just the old life rattling the door on its way out. You will settle. It will not happen in a week. It may not happen in a month. In fact, it may unfold so gradually that you question whether anything is changing at all. But one Tuesday, an unremarkable Tuesday, the sort that starts with mismatched socks and lukewarm tea, you will realize you know exactly which floorboard squeaks outside the bathroom. You will have stepped on it absent-mindedly and recognized the sound in the same way you recognize an old friend's laugh. You won't remember when you first noticed it, or when it became part of your mental map of this place, but you will feel its familiarity settle into your bones like warmth. On a Saturday, without planning to, you will buy flowers for no reason, not out of celebration, not as a gift, not to mask some sourness in the air, and they will last 10 days. 10 whole days, each one stretching a little brighter because the flowers refuse to wilt quickly. You will watch them open, then soften at the edges, then fade in the kind of elegant, unhurried way that teaches you something about existing gently. You will replace the water, trim the stems, and catch yourself humming as you arrange them on the kitchen table. You'll think of nothing in particular. You'll just be there, fully, which will feel like its own kind of miracle. One night, you will fall asleep without setting 3 alarms. Not because you have suddenly become carefree, but because your body finally trusts it will be safe until morning. You won't realize how monumental this is until you wake, sun already filtering through the blinds, and notice that you slept through the night without rehearsing tomorrow's disasters in your head. You'll lie there for a moment, listening to the quiet, and a small part of you will whisper, "Is this what it feels like to rest?" A question that once would have sounded impossible will feel tender and hopeful now. These are the quiet ceremonies of belonging. They rarely announce themselves. They simply arrive, soft and steady, until one day you realize you have been living inside them all along. You will grow here in ways you cannot predict, in ways you didn't know you needed. You will take up hobbies you once swore you were too old for, the kind of things you dismissed because life had taught you to prioritize survival over joy. Maybe you'll pick up a brush or a book or a set of gardening tools and feel something unclench inside you. Maybe you'll sign up for a class you never thought to take, surrounded by strangers who laugh easily and don't expect you to be anything other than exactly who you are. Maybe you'll simply sit on the floor with a puzzle one evening, the pieces clicking into place with a quiet satisfaction that makes your breath slow. You will make friends here, real ones, the kind who have never known the version of you that apologized for breathing. They will meet you as you are now, not as you were when you learned to shrink yourself to fit places that never deserved you. They will ask how your day was and genuinely want to know. They will celebrate with you not just the big milestones, but the small ones, the new recipe you tried, the difficult conversation you survived, the moment you realized you didn't need permission to exist fully. Their presence will make this new version of your life feel less like an experiment and more like a homecoming. You will host people for dinner and realize the table feels like an altar to the life you are choosing. There will be laughter thick in the air, dishes passed around with hands that tremble only from excitement rather than nerves, stories told with the kind of soft pride that comes from rebuilding something demolished. Plates will clink. Candles will burn down. Someone will compliment the food or the space or the warmth, and your heart will crack open a little at the idea that you created all of it, not by accident, but by intention. One day you will leave the curtains open simply because you no longer need to hide. The world outside will feel less threatening, less like a set of eyes judging your every movement. You'll find yourself watching the weather shift, watching birds trace lazy arcs across the sky, watching the afternoon light stretch itself across your walls like a cat in a sunbeam. You will cry sometimes, of course you will. Healing does not disguise itself as perfection. But you will also laugh with your whole body, the kind of laugh that makes your ribs ache in the best way, the kind that pulls you forward into the moment and reminds you that joy is allowed to take up space too. Imagine sunlight moving through that space the first winter you are there. Imagine how it slips through the window at an angle, soft and golden, resting on the kitchen counter while you make coffee. You will move slowly, deliberately, the way you always meant to, savoring the small rituals that once felt like chores. The clink of the spoon, the sigh of the kettle, the first curl of steam, these will become the sounds of your new morning. In the afternoon the sun will warm the floorboards, turning them gold in a way that makes you pause. You will stand in that warmth barefoot, eyes closed, letting the heat sink into your eyelids. You'll think, this is mine. Not because you earned it through suffering, not because you proved yourself worthy in some invisible test, but because you chose it while still tender. Because you decided that softness was something you deserved, even before you were fully convinced of it. Imagine waking up on an ordinary Thursday and realizing the ordinary has become beautiful simply because you are no longer bracing inside it. The coffee tastes the same, but you taste it differently. The room looks the same, but you inhabit it differently. The day stretches ahead of you not like a battlefield, but like a path, steady, walkable, yours. This place, this new space where your next chapter begins, will not feel like a dramatic transformation. There will be no announcement, no confetti, no cinematic montage with swelling music. Instead, there will be the soft accumulation of days that feel progressively less effortful. There will be the slow dawning that you are no longer performing survival. You will start noticing when you are genuinely calm instead of merely numb, genuinely hopeful instead of running on fumes. You will begin to understand that ease is not the same as complacency, that rest is not the same as surrender, that joy is not a betrayal of all the hard things that came before. You are moving. Not just your furniture, not just your address. You are moving emotionally, the way glaciers move, slow and unstoppable, reshaping the landscape even when it looks like nothing is happening. You are moving spiritually, the way tides move. Pulled by something ancient and gentle that knows exactly when to rise and when to retreat. You are moving mentally, shedding old stories the way snakes shed skin that no longer fits, sloughing off narratives that kept you small. You are moving into a version of yourself that has been waiting with the patience of mountains, unshaken by the storms you weathered before you arrived. The picture is open now. The door is open now. The path is lit. Not brightly, not with some blinding certainty that promises no mistakes, but enough. Enough to see the next step. And enough to see the one after that when you're ready. Take the step. I will be with you through every box you tape shut and every box you open again on the other side. I will be with you through every doubt that flutters up like startled wings. I will be with you in every moment you stand in the new kitchen and feel the floor beneath your feet saying yes, this one, finally this one. I will be with you when the first snow falls outside the window and you realize winter no longer feels like punishment. The snow will gather softly on the sill, on the roof, on the branches bending under its weight, and instead of suffocation you will feel quiet. Instead of dread you will feel stillness. Instead of cold you will feel a kind of clarity that only winter can offer, a pause in the world that mirrors the pause you are learning to take inside yourself. I will be with you when spring arrives and the trees outside your bedroom bud while you are still asleep, as if they too have been waiting for you to feel safe enough to bloom. When the green begins, it will begin everywhere at once, erupting across the branches, whispering at your windows, reminding you that beginnings are not always loud but they are always persistent. You will wake one morning to birdsong, not a triumphant chorus, just a simple, steady melody, and realize you no longer flinch at the idea of a new day. You are moving toward something that has always been moving toward you. The space has been holding its breath for your arrival. The light has been practicing how it will fall across your shoulders. The quiet has been rehearsing how gently it can hold your name. Every step you take toward this future is met by something stepping toward you in return. Step inside. You are home. Not the kind of home built only with walls and windows, but the kind woven from your own becoming, the home that grows inside you as surely as you grow inside it. The home that whispers, "You may rest now." The home that doesn't demand you be anyone other than the person who survived everything that led you here. The home that waits for you, patient and warm, even on the days you forget how to show up for yourself. In this place, your breath will deepen. Your shoulders will lower. Your heartbeat will take its time. You will sit on the sofa one evening, blanket draped loosely around you, and realize you are not waiting for the next crisis. The quiet will feel less like the lull before a storm and more like the natural state of a life no longer ruled by constant vigilance. You will start collecting small moments of beauty, not because you are forcing yourself to be grateful, but because they appear everywhere once you stop rushing past them. The steam rising from a cup. The soft hum of the refrigerator. The way the light pools on the floor like honey. These details will become the architecture of your new life. They will remind you that peace is often found in the mundane, in the in-between spaces where nothing remarkable is happening except your continued existence. Your routines will shift. You will move through your days with less resistance, less friction. You might start talking to the plants you bought on a whim, laughing at yourself but doing it anyway. You might find yourself lingering in the shower because the water feels good on your skin, not because you are hiding there. You might read more, cook more, breathe more. You might forget to be afraid of the things that once consumed you. And when old memories surface, because they will, you will meet them differently. Not with panic or shame, but with the understanding that they no longer define you. You will hold them gently, the way you would hold a fragile artifact from a past civilization, and then you will set them down again. They will not disappear, but they will lose their power. There will be days when you doubt all of this, days when the old narratives knock on your door with familiar heaviness. But even then, the space around you will hold steady. Even then, the floor will remember your steps. Even then, the light will fall softly across the room in a way that reminds you you're not going backward, you're simply pausing. This life you are building, this quiet, soft, resilient life, will not always feel extraordinary. Most days it will feel simple. And that simplicity will be the point. You are learning to live without bracing. You are learning to live with the understanding that safety does not have to be earned through suffering, it can be something you choose, tenderly, again and again. The space is ready. Your life is ready. You are ready, even if readiness feels like fear wearing a thin coat of hope. Take the step. Step inside. You are home.